Hello again guys, and welcome back to another video. And just before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone that leaves comments on my videos and asks questions, because it's just so amazing to hear about different people's experiences of teaching, different people's experience of training to get into teaching. And it's so good to be able to answer a few questions, and loads of the questions that I'm able to answer are the same questions that I had when I first got into teaching. And at the time, I didn't really see there was anyone that I could ask those questions to, which is partly why I started making all these videos about what it's like being a teacher. And so it's so good to be able to help some people that are looking for the answers to those same questions. And some of these videos, like the one today, are completely generated by the questions that people ask. So today's video is all about kind of the employability of an NQT, and not necessarily how to get a job as an NQT, but talking about, are you in a position to get a good job, or are you in a good position to apply for jobs when you're an NQT, or when you're about to become an NQT and you finish your training? And that is entirely just from, that's one of the most common questions I get asked when I'm doing my videos, and I kind of give the same answer every time and say yes, but I just wanted to go into a bit more detail about that today. Before we get started, the weather has been amazing. We're currently on Easter holidays and it is really, really hot. So I need to make sure I get myself a drink, because one of the things I struggle most with when I'm teaching and when I'm at home, but especially in school, is drinking water. Now you can see here, I've got a great big bottle and it's almost empty, which is the first one I've had this morning. But I try and get through, I aim to have 4 of these every single day, which is just over 2 litres. But when you're teaching and you're busy, it's hard work to keep track of it. So it's something where, especially when I'm off school, I make doubly sure that I get it sorted. So I'm gonna go fill this up, and we'll sit down and get talking about what it's like to be an NQT. Okay, so we're good to go. Filming these normally takes about me half an hour to an hour, so hopefully by the end of that hour I should have had another one of those finished, because obviously talking, it's hard work, and it's just so important to keep hydrated when you're teaching. It's one of those few little tips that not many people will mention, and I didn't really think about at the start, but it makes such a massive difference to your energy levels. If you're dehydrated, you get tired quicker, it's harder to talk, you get a sore throat a lot quicker. It's just the kind of things I've found when I'm teaching, so I always make sure that I get some water with me, and it just helps me be a better teacher. But it's a simple tip that not many people, I don't think about, not many people talk about, but it's just important. So make sure you guys are doing it too when you're teaching. Stay hydrated. So to get into our first topic. Now, as an NQT, or when you are preparing to become an NQT and you're looking for your first teaching job, it's a really, really nerve-wracking process. You can see up on the screen, I'm just going to pop up some of the comments that I've had about what it's like to be, people asking what it's like to get ready for that NQT interview process. Now, I've done some other videos on my channel, so please go and have a look about kind of interviews for being an NQT and what it's like to get ready for that process, kind of the questions you might get asked in a teaching interview. And so they're all kind of up there, and I still stand by those tips. I haven't heard anything else or any new ones since I put those videos up, so I'll stand by those ones for now. But the biggest fear for most NQTs is that they won't get a job. And so I just wanted to kind of calm those fears a little bit, because the fact is, guys, the majority of NQTs that apply for jobs will end up getting one. You might not get your first one, you might not get your second one, but do not be disheartened. You will get one of them. When I was applying for jobs, I applied for about 7 jobs in total. I got about 4, maybe 5 interviews, and I think it was either my 4th or 5th. It was my last interview where I got my job. So at the time, I thought, oh well, actually, you know, it wasn't my first choice school. It wasn't the school I picked out. But I am so glad I ended up going to this school. The friends I've made there, the staff I work with, the children I work with, it's absolutely incredible. And it's worked out for the best completely. So I'm a big believer in that, like, don't give up, guys. Don't think just because you've put your heart on one school and you didn't get that school, that does not mean that, you know, it'll be the end of the world. You will make of it what you want to make of it. And I'm so thankful that I failed those first 4 interviews and I passed the 5th one, because looking where I am now, my life is going so well. I'm really happy in my job, in my career, and it's a brilliant place to be. So do not be disheartened. First off, if you haven't got your first few interviews, that does not mean that you won't get a school you like, doesn't mean you won't work with people that you like. It just means that actually those ones weren't right for you, they weren't the right fit, and so it's probably a good thing that you didn't get them. So that is kind of my first message for you guys. Just don't worry about it. Just go through the process. You might have to go through it a few times, but you will end up at a school, and hopefully that school will be the right fit for you. And if not, then just look for a different one. But I'm pretty sure if you work hard, you make of it what you really want to make of it, and you work with some amazing people, then you'll have a fantastic time. The next thing that people often ask about being a newly qualified teacher and applying for jobs as an NQT is that people always say, well, why would anyone want to employ me? When you compare what I know to much more experienced teachers who've been teaching for 10, 20 years. Why on earth would they do that? Now, there's many reasons why a school might do that, and most of them depend on the school situation and what they're looking for as a staff, but there are plenty of reasons why they would look for an NQT and think actually that's the person they want to be, that's the person they want to employ. First reason is that as an NQT, you are basically moldable, okay? You will come into school and you'll be taught how to be a proper teacher. Now, you've done your training at schools, and yes, you've gone on your placements and you've done all that, and when I first became an NQT, I felt I was ready. Looking back now, I realise probably 75% of the teaching that I do now is all things that I've learned from being in school, being an actual teacher with a job as an NQT or an RQT, or even stuff I've learned this year. But so much of it is from what I've learned when I got into school as an NQT and beyond, compared to what I learned when I was at university doing my teacher training. And so that is a big reason why staff or head teachers will look to employ an NQT, because they can get a teacher that they can then mould into the teacher that they want, into the fashion that they want. And I know this has happened with me. I know I teach in much the same way that my head teacher taught, and I'm teaching much the same way that the mentors at my school and the people I've looked at through their teaching, because that's what I've seen, that's who I've learned from, and that's kind of the tips I've got. So I think it's an amazing thing, because I've learned from some amazing teachers, and I've seen some amazing teachers do their practice and kind of got tips from them. And so I think it's a brilliant thing, that fact is that you can go in and you can start to teach in the style of someone that you see, that you think, actually, you know what, they're a brilliant teacher, so I want to learn from them. But it's a real big plus, because a teacher that's been working for 10, 20 years, they will be set in their ways of how they know teaching is and what they think teaching is. And it's a lot harder for someone who's been teaching for that long to change their style of teaching to fit a new school. Whereas you don't really have a style of teaching yet. You'll have got a bit from placement, but obviously those placements are a few different placements at a few different schools. You don't really got set in your ways of anything yet. So being an NQT, you are kind of moldable. They can look at you and say, okay, we want a teacher of this style. Let's work with this person, let's train them, let's teach them how to be a teacher in that way. So I think definitely being an NQT can be a massive bonus if a school is looking for that. It's not always the case, and you can generally tell from the job application if they're looking for an NQT or not, because I'll often put things like you need so many years work experience in a school of teaching, or they'll look, this job application is open for NQTs. Anyone that says it's open for NQTs, then absolutely apply for it. And if there's another school that you really like the look of and it doesn't say that, then apply anyway and just see what happens. You might get it anyway. So do not worry about the fact you're inexperienced, because often a lot of schools are looking for that. The next reason why a school might be looking to employ you as an NQT, even though you're inexperienced, is quite a kind of mathematical reason. And it's the fact is that schools run on a budget, and all schools have a set budget that they kind of have to spend their money, and they only can spend so much money on teaching and on equipment and on the children and on all that kind of stuff that you have to spend. Now, as a teacher of only 3 years, I don't know a great deal about what goes on, but I do know, and if you've looked into teaching, you should know that schools run on a tight budget. There's never a lot of room to spare. There's always kind of things where you have to kind of cut back a little bit on that and be careful about spending too much money on that, and you have a set amount of money and that is it. Like with any business, you have to run on a budget. Now, the fact is, if you're looking at NQTs, when you apply as an NQT, you'll be put onto M1, sometimes onto M2 on the pay scale, if you've kind of got a lot of experience and you can really prove to the school why you're going to be valuable. But the vast majority of NQTs will be put onto the M1 pay scale. And that happened when I started. You start at the bottom of the pay scale. It makes sense. You're inexperienced. You've not taught a class on your own before. But for schools that run on a tight budget, if they have just lost a staff member who's moved to a different school and maybe they're at the top end of the pay scale, they could have been earning double, maybe even triple what you are looking to earn at the bottom of the pay scale. So that is a massive saving for the school, and they can then take that money that they've saved and spend it on the children. And as you know, or as you should know, for anyone that is looking to get into teaching, all people that work in schools, the best teachers are always the ones that do everything they can for the children. And so if a head teacher can look at their budget and say, right, we've just saved £30,000 on one staff member has left and they've gone to a different school, and we've brought in an NQT, and the salary difference between those two teachers was 30,000. That is then £30,000 they can spend on the school. They might spend it on equipment, they might spend it on getting some stuff for the playground, they could spend it on some ICT equipment, anything they want to spend it on. But that's a big chunk of money there that they have saved each year. And obviously your pay will go up as you achieve your targets and you work through your NQT period, but it will take a long time and a good probably decade at least to reach the level of the previous teacher that you replaced if they were at the top end of the pay scale. So it might sound a bit of a cold reason, it might sound like it's not a very nice reason to talk about, and I think a lot of people don't like talking about budgets and money because it's just a bit of a hard topic to think about. And like I said, I don't have any experience at all of controlling a school budget, but it's just what you hear when you talk to other teachers and other leaders from other schools and the types of things that they talk about when they're looking about recruiting people. And it is definitely a factor that comes into it. So there will be schools that go out there and they're actively looking for an NQT for that reason, because they need to save some money, and actually saving on a teacher's salary can be a lot of money saved. So again, it's another reason why as an NQT you can definitely be in the top list or in the short list for getting a job. So there is just a few reasons about why actually as an NQT you have every chance that you will be getting a job. And I know this is really important coming up to now because I'm filming this video. It is in the Easter holidays, and this was when I started applying for jobs when I first got my job. So I finished my last placement from university in March, and that was just before the Easter holidays. So during Easter was when I kind of got my personal statement written, I started filling out some job applications, and I really started that process. So I'm sure across the country there'll be loads and loads of people that are currently sat there thinking, right, I've finished my placements, now is the time to start applying for jobs. So hopefully this will help you have that bit of confidence. And I haven't gone into any details about like how to fill out your application, that sort of thing, because A, I haven't done it for a few years, and B, I've got some other videos on my channel that kind of will help with that. So if you do want to go have a look on my channel, and I will try and remember to link them up there somewhere, but I don't always remember to. But hopefully that will be a big help to you in terms of just have the confidence to just go for it. Find a job that you think you want to look at and have a go and see if you get it, because the chances are the schools won't just see an NQT and bat out a hand. We need NQT, we need new teachers in the profession. That's part of bringing new ideas into the teaching profession, bringing new ways of thinking, moving with the times as well. The fact is people coming into the profession have great skills with new technologies, great skills with new ideas about what they want to do as a teacher, and that will change the way teaching works over the next 20, 30 years, as it always has done and as it always will. So have some confidence in yourself, please go for it. And if this video has helped, then as always, every Tuesday, every Friday, there's a new video coming out, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and hopefully I'll see you there. See you soon, guys.